By now you should know what we are trying to do for this week. This is the very first simple video, and when this is done, you are going to go into Schoology and you're going to do a very simple quiz for me. I really want to see if having the video will help you guys for the rest of these 2 marking periods. Okay, so this is the first bit. It's just simple exponents, and I'm just gonna lay down the rules, what that means, and when we see it, how can we recognize something is what we call an exponent. Alright? Okay. So exponents are always in a form of a variable, and then you have a number over here. So this x could be a variable. It could be x, it could be y, it could be z, or it could be just a number itself. Alright? And there are a couple of things that we need to know. What we call the base. Base is actually the x itself. So that could be like a 2 over there, but if it's a 2, then 2 is your base. Alright? And then the number attached to it, we can either call it exponents, or sometimes we'll call it power. Okay, so they are both referring to the same thing. Okay, in this scenario, if I have to talk about this exponents and I don't know how to describe it, I would possibly say this is x to the power of n. So that's how we describe the exponents. So if we see this, now we know that anything kind of like on the upper right hand corner with a number, or it can even be a variable, that's what we call exponents. Okay, so next bit. Exponents basically means you're multiplying the number or multiplying the variable many times. So let's just go for something simple first. For example, I want to do 2 to the power of 4. Alright, so this is already our exponents. We have the exponents over here. Our base is going to be 2. So in that Schoology quizzes, I may ask you, like, what is the base? The base is going to be 2. Well, the exponents or the power is going to be 4. Okay, so what this means, 2 to the power of 4 basically means you are going to multiply 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So you have like 4 times of this. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. So the end result is going to be 16. Okay, so with a small number like the small exponents and the base itself is not too bad, multiplying this out, you can actually do it in your head. It's not really that difficult. So let's say I have like x to the power of 5. Okay, so x to the power of 5, that basically means you multiply the x 5 times. 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's basically what it means. And it depends on what the x is, the number is going to change. X is a variable, it can change anytime. It doesn't have to be x, by the way. So for example, if I have, just pick another variable like y. Alright, y to the power of 3. In this scenario, basically it means y times y times y. There's some basic understanding of exponents. However, sometimes the variable or the base itself is a little bit confusing. For example, I could have xy to the power of just 3. Okay, I'm not going to make it too big. So you have to be careful about this. If you have an exponent like this, you have a parenthesis, this xy means you're going to multiply itself, the xy, the whole parenthesis 3 times. Okay, you're multiplying itself 3 times, and because we are multiplying all of this, so it's x times y times x times y times x times y. Basically, you can rearrange this. So you can have like x times x times x, y times y times y. And now I can make it into a better looking scenario because I have 3 of this multiply. So basically it means it's x to the power 3, y to the power 3. Alright, so for the very last example, that is a little bit more difficult to start off with. And when we get to the multiplication later on, we will talk about that. But as far as a little video go, this is the absolute basic that we need to know. So if I give you an example of 5 to the power of n, you have to tell me that base is going to be 5, while your exponents or power, it is hard to write with this, is going to be n. So for this one, it's a little bit more difficult to understand because I'm multiplying this n number of times. Alright, we don't really know how many times, but we are just going to do it. So this is going to go on, and that's n number of times. And the n could be 10, it could be 11, it could be 100. And so this whole thing is how we do the exponents. Another thing that I may want to cover, let's hope we have a calculator that works over here. Let's check a simple calculator and see if we have exponents on this. No. Let's turn it into scientific. Alright. Okay, so let me show you a couple things about calculator if you're going to use it. For example, this is simple exponent. Square is actually a simple exponent. So if I want to do 2 to the power of 5 or 2 to the power of 2, so you press that, it's going to be 4. 5 to the power of 2 is going to be 25. However, sometimes you may not have exponents as like square. So 5 to the power of 3. Alright, 125. Let's say it's 8 to the power of 3. Now pay attention to this little upper arrow. That's basically what it means by power. So if you use a calculator, it's not the one on window, you may want to find a key that looks like this. Okay, so a key that having that upper arrow, that means is exponents. What else? There are a couple other things that's quite important to know. So for example, I'm going to have n of m, what am I talking about? 5 to the power of 0. 5 to the power of 0. That's not 5 degrees Celsius, it's 5 to the power of 0. So let's try our calculator and see what that means. 5 to the power of 0. You get 1. Get 1. Let's do 67 to the power of 0. Let's see what it means. 67 to the power of 0 will also get 1. And hopefully by now you should be able to see that it doesn't matter what the base is. Let's say I have like v to the power of 0. My answer should be 1. Alright? Another thing that I do want to point out, if we cover the 0, we may as well cover what it means by 1, because we normally get to the second power, at least 5 squared. We never really talk about the power of 1. So 5 to the power of 1 is just 5 itself. I can do 67 to the power of 1, and we can check it. 67 to the power of 1, 67. So just kind of like the parallel lines and perpendicular lines before, we have some special cases. You do have to remember that when the exponent itself is 0, that's 1. When the exponent is 1, it's the number itself. So let's say I'm going to do x to the power of 1. That means it's going to go back to x itself. So this is basically the end of the very first bit. When you finish this video, please go on to Schoology, and there will be a little quiz for you. Okay, if you're not confident, I would suggest watch it a couple of times. And for those who finish the quiz, you can move on with the next bit. Bye for now.